well, we would like to welcome you first and make a short presentation. And over here we have my colleague.
I'm Sofie Landbo, and I am a senior lecturer at the Biomedical Laboratory Science program, and I'm also a process consultant at the VIA student incubator at Campus Horsens.
Yes, and my name is Birgitte, as Marta Bolette just told, and I'm a lecturer at the physiotherapy education, and I'm also coordinator of the student incubator. And today's workshop, our performance is about a workshop we did at the VIA University College among the teachers at the occupational therapist education. And the subject is out of your comfort zone. And we would like you to get a little bit out of your comfort zone, just to feel a slide of that out of comfort zone that the teachers did. So you have to stand up and push the chair a little bit away. Yeah. Make space around you. Yeah. And can you see me? Perhaps you should come up here a little bit. Yeah. A little bit. You have to bend your knees. And like the dog, you have to stand like the dog. This is why it is called the dirty dog dance. So now you're just going to do totally the same as I am. So you say, Ramsasa, Ramsasa, goli, 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 Ramsasa, 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 goli, 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 Ramsasa. Aramen, aramen, goli, 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 Ramsasa. Aramen, aramen, goli, 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 Ramsasa. And the last time, very, very fast. Okay, bend your knees once more. The duck approach. Yeah, something. Yeah. And we start again. Ramsasa, Ramsasa, goli, 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 Ramsasa, 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 goli, 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 Ramsasa. Aramen, aramen, goli, 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 Ramsasa. Aramen, aramen, goli, 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 Ramsasa. Thank you, splendid! Woo! Well, yes, that was splendid, amazing, much better than the students. Yes. We were invited to do this workshop among the occupational therapist teachers. They had this huge disharmony. They found themselves standing in the ordinary classroom teaching about practical skills. And if you look over here, they had a beautiful skill lab with lifts, different kind of lifts, hospital's bed, washing machine, and kitchen. And they didn't use it. Can you just translate the word occupational therapy?
Ergoterapeuter.
Yeah, yeah. Instead, they were standing here in the comfort zone, close to a whiteboard with the rows, with students sitting with the approach to the teacher, not looking at each other but to the teacher. And there was structure and order and comfort. And they would like to be over here, but they didn't like it. They said to us, well, it was unsafe to be there, it was unpredictable, it was really being out of comfort zone. So they found themselves standing here, even though all of them knew the benefits on hands-on approach. And this is not new, this hands-on approach. If we go back more than 500 years before Christ, there was this Chinese philosopher, Confucius, I think he was called. He said, well, I hear, I forget, I see, I learn, and I do, and I understand. So of course they also wanted to do this. So we spent a lot of time together thinking crazy, out of box, everything, to wonder how could we do a workshop for those teachers? How could we make them use the skill lab in a better way? And we started with several workshops. We started up here with the first one, And here we got them together, and they should tell all their excuses for not using the skill lab. They were sitting in groups, and they wrote it on posters, and it was all over the walls. And we stopped this workshop, we met them again, the second workshop, and it was the creative phase. Here they should think every idea they could imagine about using the skill lab. Crazy, weird, building on each other's ideas, and they were challenged by us. They were also dancing. They were challenged by us by different kind of methods to get really creative ideas about the skill lab. Then they were released once more, and in between the second and the third workshop, they should try to conceptualize the idea, starting to make a raw prototype about using the skill lab. And then we met them here at the third workshop, and we had a panel of judges, and it was students. And then they should present the idea, and they had feedback from the students. And after that, they should go back and try to implement the new ideas and the feedback they got from the students. And that is what they are doing now. Now they are implementing the concrete idea in the subject in which they teach. And they have been doing that for quite a few weeks now. And the next time we are going to meet them very soon. We'll do a film festival where they will represent video of showing how they have implemented the idea in the different kind of subjects. And perhaps we will even have an Oscar winner. Yes.
Yes. I will present some details in some of the workshops, not about the workshops about dancing the dirty dog, but about the workshop concerning identifying disharmonies. As you all know, it is really important to dig down and to know the reason and the need for ideation, and to find to what we call disclose the disharmony. And that is asking, why is it a problem for me in teaching? Is it inside me, or is it outside me? Is it physical, psychological, or an academic problem? And is it perhaps also a problem for the students? So the teachers had to ask themselves a lot of questions, and they had to find 5 to 10 disharmonies in everyday teaching. They had to look at their usual way of doing things, as Birgitte told you, when standing teaching in front of the whiteboard with the rows of students. Also when they had dialogues with the students, or when they were presenting and explaining the professional content in the books. They also had to look at their different plans for teaching. Then they went out into their teams. They had some teams, and then they chose one of the 10 disharmonies, and they worked with one of them. This is some examples of the identified disharmonies that the teachers found in Skill Lab. Most of the teachers said, "Oh, we've got 60 students in a class. So many students, it's impossible to have those students in the Skill Lab." They also thought that the conditions in the Skill Lab were very chaotic with all the
beds and
the aids, the technical aids around it. So it was quite out of control when they got into the chaotic conditions in the Skill Lab. There were not normal chairs. There were not normal tables to sit on or to sit by. Many teachers, I think you know that problem too. The curriculum is very crowded. You have a lot of stuff to go through in the theory. theoretical teaching. And they felt that if they didn't tell the students, they wouldn't know the things. So getting into the skill lab, the students, they didn't get through the curriculum. Some teachers found that the field in which they were teaching was not suited for the skill lab. There were some teachers in, for example, psychology or ethical aspects, and this was not suited for the skill lab. I do not agree in that, but they actually didn't want to work with the project, I think. Many of the teachers, as Birgitte told you, felt quite uncomfortable in the skill lab. It was out of their comfort zone. They didn't like to be there. They haven't got the control because the students could do things that they didn't plan. And also students with different learning qualifications, it was difficult to find what they should do with those students, they thought. The skill lab was quite a messy room, and it's because the teachers experienced that students often didn't. They made mess in the skill lab and they forgot to clean up, and that took time from teaching, because the teachers felt that it was their responsibility. This is some of the ideas that the teams came up with. One of the team made a concept with first they would like to make a flipped classroom combined with virtual cases, and afterwards the students had to work with the cases in the skill lab. So see them first, the cases they show them, and then work with them in the skill lab. They also wanted to build bridges between the theoretical teaching and the clinical practice. And in that case, they would like the students to go out in the clinical practice and to find some disharmonies and bring them into the skill lab and work with them there physically. Other teachers wanted to set up meetings between teachers where they could exchange their experiences from all the new learning in the skill lab, so that they could change the experiences between them and get inspired. Another idea was incorporating the creative thinking in skill lab by using the bonus 6 thinking hats. So they wanted the students to act creatively in the skill lab. And the last idea was simply to encourage the students to occupy the skill lab. They wanted the students to make a revolution and to occupy the skill lab from morning to late evening, and only inviting teachers in when they wanted them to be there. Yes. So what's new in this course? This is 3 things that we think is quite new in this course. We experienced how colleagues can facilitate colleagues. Birgitte and we got a very great knowledge about the occupational therapists and their culture and their creative acting.
We are thinking about taking a bachelor.
Yeah, yeah.
They invited us.
They invited us to do that. Yeah, and they could benefit from our expertise from the student incubator. The process was located in the skill lab, which meant that the teachers had to stay in the skill lab in all the process, idea generating and so on. They had to feel the skill lab, and they had to use the skill lab into their ideas. So they had to get out of their comfort zone. And then we used the students in a judging panel. Students is of course the users of teaching, and it was quite new that they were in the judging panel because it was the opposite of the table. It's usually the teacher who evaluates the student. And we chose the students that were serious, and students that gave some constructive feedback on both the performing and the content in the ideas. Yes, this was about the course, and
we also use students as mentors for the different groups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it didn't.
We don't know how.
We don't know how it worked. No.
Yeah. You are ahead of time.
No, we're not finished.
Okay.